So we all tend to overbuy cheese at Christmas. We think we'll finish the meal off with a nice bit of cheese, crackers and some port, and you're usually too full to eat most of it. The good news is that cheese freezes really well. And if you were to freeze your cheese like Stilton or cheddar, you can then cube it and use it for sauces, for either pasta, or you can add it into soups as well. So you could either freeze it whole, or you could just grate it and just grab it and add it to whatever you're making. I'm going to show you how to make one of my favourite comfort dishes, which is Welsh Rarebit, which is really just a bechamel sauce on toast that's grilled. It's a bit like a croque monsieur. But I'm going to make an Irish rarebit today because I'm using some lovely Irish cheddar, and it's really simple, just a few ingredients: butter, flour to make a roux, a little bit of Irish mustard. You want the Irish mustard rather than French because it has a stronger flavour and you want that to cut through the cheese. Salt and pepper. You can add a bit of Worcestershire sauce if you have it, it's not essential, and then milk and a lot of cheese. So the first step is just to melt the butter, and to make sure that it's all melted without browning it. So, and then once that has melted, we are going to stir in the flour, and you can't leave the stove top while you're doing this, but it's such a quick and easy dish. You could, if you have leftover ham, because we're going to be toasting this bread on both sides, you could put some ham and then put the cheese sauce over, so it's a bit like a croque madame. But I am going to put those under the grill while the butter is melting, and then we shall start doing the roux. You want to toast both sides of bread. You want them to be nice and crispy, which will be a contrast to the cheese sauce that we put on in a minute. This makes a really nice, easy, quick supper. So just giving the butter a stir just so that it melts a bit quicker. And as soon as it has all melted, you don't want any whole pieces of butter in there, we can then add the flour and just stir it so that all of the flour is absorbed within the butter. And it'll start to smell a little when you add the flour. It'll smell very, very subtly, of almost like a popcorn type smell. And then you'll know that the flour is starting to cook through. So wait for that sort of nutty popcorn type smell. So I have a nice roux here. Then I'm going to slowly add some milk. That's about 200 ml of milk. You want to add it slowly so that it does totally get absorbed into the flour mixture. Now you can actually make this with beer. You could do half milk and half beer. I've made Welsh Rarebit or Irish Rarebit with Guinness before, and it's absolutely delicious. It just adds a sort of bit of extra flavour. You're burning off the alcohol. And if you are doing it with beer or stout, add the beer first before you add the milk. So add about 100 ml of the beer, and then follow it with the milk. I've tried it with cider. Cider's not as good. Definitely works better with stout. So keep adding this milk and keep stirring, making sure that you're getting all the way around the pan and that there are no burn bits there. So it's going to be a nice thick roux. And as we're cooking it as well, you're getting rid of that flour flavour, because you don't want it to taste of raw flour. So traditionally it's made with Caerphilly cheese, which is a very mild Welsh cheese, but I actually think using cheddar is better because it has a stronger flavour. Caerphilly is a bit mild, and that's when I think you really need to add, a bit more mustard or a bit more Worcestershire sauce. But if you're using a nice strong cheddar, you really don't need to add the Worcestershire sauce. So I'm getting a lovely creamy roux here. Nice bechamel, and we'll just add the rest of the milk. You just need to add it gradually. And that's going to thicken up a little bit. Just add a bit of pepper and just a little sprinkle of salt because the cheddar cheese is very, very salty. And that's lovely and creamy looking. So I'm just going to add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of Irish mustard just to give it a bit of a kick. Keeping an eye on the bread, I just want it to be lightly toasted on both sides. If you keep stirring, you won't get lumps in this. If you get distracted and go and do something else in the kitchen, then you probably will get lumps. But if you just follow the proportions of the recipe and just keep stirring, you'll have a really tasty, easy snack or light dinner in no time at all. And it's a great way of using up that leftover cheese. As I say, you can put ham on one side as well. And you'll see when it comes out after we've grilled it how delicious it does look. And that would be nice with some pickles as well, some of the pickled onions or some Christmas chutney if you have any left over. So it's nice and smooth. Just checking that bread. You want a nice hot grill as well. Just want to dry out the bread a little bit. So we're just burning off the flavour of the flour. You want that on a sort of low to medium heat. Once you have smooth sauce that has thickened with the flour, that's when we can add the cheese. So I'm just going to turn the temperature down quite a lot, maybe even take it off, because I don't want all this cheese to turn into some gooey mess. So I'll just take it off the heat while I just stir in that cheese and gradually add it. There's a lot of cheese in this, so if you have a lot of cheese to use up, it is perfect. Take that off the heat now so the cheese doesn't overcook. And the bread, as simple as just putting this on top of each slice, and then we'll put that back into grill. Always do this with foil underneath because you're going to end up with cheese all over your baking pan. It just makes it a lot easier for cleanup. So it's quite a thick cheesy bechamel. And by now the grill should be nice and hot anyway, and we're just going to put it under until it starts to blister. So you want sort of that brown blistering effect on there, which it will do under the grill, and that will be done in about 3 or 4 minutes, so, and it's going to come out bubbling and delicious. So the Welsh Rarebit, Welsh Irish Rarebit, has been under the grill for about 3 or 4 minutes, nice hot grill, and you see how the cheese is all bubbly and it's just starting to get that lovely brown crust. And there you go. Used up some leftover cheese, some leftover bread, and maybe serve that with a little bit of salad or some pickles, and you have a really easy, simple dinner.